Tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
Well, Jim Gulaskey. I used to be a school teacher in Oregon, and I retired in 1999 and decided to take up more of a physical activity than just sitting around on the couch and watching TV, and wound up getting into running. From there I went to swimming and biking, and eventually went to triathlon. If you come from Oregon, you're always swimming indoors. And so down here, the weather's nice, I get to swim outdoors. I enjoy the people, the pools are not crowded, and it's just a pleasant place to be. I asked a guy one time why he swims here and why he enjoys Laguna Woods, and he said because the whole place is just paradise.
You've got a great stroke. What's it like for people that don't swim to be able to just swim back and forth? How's swimming different from biking and running for you?
Well, most of the time when I'm swimming, I'm probably thinking about my stroke and feeling the glide and trying to improve my stroke a little bit. It's just really relaxing to just get in the water because you don't have the stress on your body that the other sports apply to you. There's always room for improvement, and anything where there's room for improvement is enjoyable because every time you do it, it gives you a little more incentive to do it.
Your wife told me that you're highly competitive. So talk about your competitive nature and how that impacts your swimming, biking, and running.
When you're competitive, it's just in you. I have children, and they are not competitive in the least. With me, everything I do is competition, and that's enjoyable to me. I probably wouldn't do what I do if I wasn't working towards some competitive event, because the adrenaline rush, I don't know what it is, just drives me to do what I do. This is my wife, Lori. And without her, I probably wouldn't be able to do this because she's my biggest supporter. She makes me buy all these expensive bikes and stuff and goes to all the places we need to go. Omaha, Nebraska, everybody wants to go there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wisconsin twice. Yeah, fun.
So
Fun
anyway,
stuff. Okay, thank
this
you.
is the lady behind the scene.
Right. Thank you.
So let's talk about all these medals. So how many medals do you think he's won over the years?
Oh, probably 400 to 500, I imagine. Because sometimes he gets a finisher's medal and then first place. If he doesn't get first place, then it's not a fun ride home at all. Second place isn't good enough for him. And we can't play dominoes either.
Oh.
He's won all these medals. What's it like after, the 100th medal?
It isn't really any big deal to us to get a medal. I just like to look at them sometimes, and sometimes they come out and they're magnetic and they stick on your refrigerator, and I don't want them on my refrigerator. So that's why we developed this room, and they stay in here. And I don't know. It's not about that. It's about traveling, meeting the people, and going to the places. And the people are so nice that we meet all over the world and everywhere we go. And that's why we like to do it. And of course, he likes to compete, and he does.
Give us a perspective of where you stand in the triathlete world, considering your age and all that. Give us that story.
I started out, I was not a swimmer, a cyclist, or a runner. And I started it because I was probably, when I retired, I was a little bit overweight and probably a little bit, I don't want to say depressed, but I just needed something after I retired, so I started with the athletics. And every one of those, since I hadn't swam or biked, I run a little bit, it really put a challenge there, so I really got into it. Once I got into it and realized I was only competing against people in my age group, then it really gave me incentive to continue with the triathlons and compete. And it has led to some pretty successful events for me.
All right, you're kind of modest now, so let everybody know exactly where you stand in the triathlon world.
Well, last year I was ranked number 4 in the nation. I won the national title, and I won a world title. I've podiumed at every major event that I've gone to. So
And how long have you been podium? What's the span of this where you're doing so well? How many years has that been?
You know, it seemed to come pretty quickly. About my second year into it, I was starting to hit the podium, and from that point on, it just got better and better and better.
How many years has that been in total? When did
I've
you
been
start?
doing this for 15 years.
So say for 13 years you've been on the podium when you do it?
Oh yeah.
So that means that puts you in a very elite category, right?
Top 1%.
And how old are you?
72.
So what does it feel like? Because you inspire me. You know, you're thriving as well as anybody can at 72, right? Would you say your life? How is your life with all of the fitness and competition? What's your life like at 72?
If I didn't have the swimming and biking and running and all the activities, I don't think I'd be doing what I would be doing now. Because when I retired, I was sitting on the bed one night, and my legs were flat to the bed. They had atrophied. And I said, this is not going to work. So then I went out and tried running, and it hurt so bad. The backs of my legs hemorrhaged because I had not done anything physical for so long.
Hemorrhaged.
And I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I just have never stopped. I did one triathlon, and I was hooked. And you don't have to be the best to enjoy this stuff. There are lots of people that do this for fun.
Right, but we're talking about you now, so let's stick to you.
Yeah.
So, have you ever not podiumed in 13 years?
Oh, probably twice.
Twice. And to do that, it means you've got to be fit. You've got to have your mind right. You've got to have everything together on race day to make that happen, right? So what does it take for you? What do you have to go through so that you are ready for the competition?
I think it's just in me. When I go to a race, I'm there to race. I'm not there to... I do have fun because I have lots of friends, but my purpose is to be the best.
At triathlon, you have to swim, bike, and run, so you can't have any muscle pulls, you can't have the flu, you can't have a cold. You have to be physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually ready for that thing, right?
Yes.
What's bigger than the competition? How do you pull all that in so you can focus for that one intense period?
I guess it's just my desire.
It trumps everything, huh?
Yeah. There are times when I think, oh, maybe I won't do this anymore. I'm a driven person.
But you seem so laid back.
I'm not.
On the inside, you're not. But
On the
you seem very relaxed and friendly and at ease. You're not like, aggressive. But on the inside, you're burning.
Yeah, I'm a very, very intense person when it comes to my competition.
Does that help you relax in your regular life, or are you intense in everything?
I think everything I do, my wife says, we can't even play dominoes with you without being competitive. And
Yeah.
so it's just me. I work on that.
Right, because you don't want to be a jerk, right?
No.
I won! You lost! Okay, so how does the village, how long have you been here in the village?
We first bought a place in 2007. We've been pretty regular now for about 2 years.
How is living here in Orange County in the village, how does that help you with your triathlon activities?
Well, I've learned to relax a little more here because the groups I ride with, the cycling club is wonderful. And they've taught me to actually go out for a bike ride and enjoy myself. We stop for lunch and we have a lot of communication and it's fun. We have a party every year. So I've learned to relax a little bit more. So I have a little balance of the intensity and the relaxing a little bit.
You're 72, so how's your body holding up when you're running? Do you have aches and pains? How are your knees doing? What's it like to run?
I actually feel pretty good for 72, but we all have, at this age, everybody has aches and pains. It's whether or not you want to deal with them. Everybody wakes up in the morning stiff, I would assume. But if I don't feel like going out the door, I just go out the door and I start, and then I'm okay. And if I'm not, I go back home and I'll go another time.
Are you good at the biking? Talk about biking.
Cycling, I had never done it. And so when I started cycling, it was somewhat of a challenge, but now I'm probably one of the better cyclists in my age group. Just because I spend the time and I do the things I need to do. You need to train, and I do.
So give us your training regimen.
Well, for what?
All of it. Like in a week. What do you do in a typical week when you're training for a triathlon?
Depending on what kind of a race it is. For the triathlons, I'll come to the pool 2 or 3 times a week. The biking, I'll do 2 or 3 times a week, or maybe more. And the running, I've cut down to about 2 days a week just because of my age, and my back hurts. But if I keep the training down on the running, normally I can withstand it a little better. But and there's different types of training. I might go do a bunch of hills one day, or I might just go out on the flats and run, bike.
Vary it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What about your food? Talk about the kind of food that you eat.
I'm not a big eater, so I pretty much eat when I'm hungry, and I don't eat a lot, but I don't have any special diet. Matter of fact, one of my favorite things to do is to go to Wendy's and Del Taco, and I don't worry about fast food because I don't eat that much of it. But I don't have a special diet that I stick to. I'm just not a big eater because I found that even without a lot of food, I'm still highly competitive. I don't know how much we really need. And as we get older, I really believe we need less calories.
Yeah. And then let's go out into the future. Are you just living in the moment, blessed to run today, swim today, compete today, and take it like that? Or do you have any long-term goals? Do you even think into the future, or is it all just sort of unfolding?
Well, I change age groups when I'm 75, and I'm already thinking about that. I always think into the future, yeah. And but I try to live in the moment, but I can't help but think about what's coming up in the future.
And what happens when you turn 75?
Then I get into the 75 to 79 age group. I'll be the young guy on the block.
Do you know those guys right now? When do you see them at competitions?
I do. I see a lot of people at competition.
So
most of them will be gone by the time they're 75, 76. Not very many people around at 75, 76.
And what do you think allows a man to be able to compete at that level into his late 70s?
Genetics.
Yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, I have friends with knee operations, shoulder operations. They've got issues, heart operation issues, and I think genetically I'm just blessed.
And then, lastly, what's your advice for somebody in the village that maybe is doing a little bit of weekend warrior stuff and would like to up their game? What advice do you have as far as how they should start if they really want to get fitter and, be awesome?
Come to the pool. The people are friendly, and if you want to bike a little bit, the cycling group here, they cycle quite a few days a week, and you don't have to go every day. But there's slower groups and faster groups, and I think people are intimidated because they say the bicycle club. No, they don't. There's all kinds of levels of cycling, and it's really quite enjoyable. They stop and have coffee at different locations, and it's just, as far as the running, I don't see a lot of people running in here, but you just go out and do it yourself. Or if anybody would like to join me sometime, I would be glad to do that. And there's another thing they do every year that you might enjoy. The senior games, very non-competitive in most cases, unless you get into the tennis and pickleball and stuff. Last year I threw horseshoes. It was fun. They have a basketball shoot. They have all kinds of things. And then they have the Battle of the Fitness Centers. And I just did that. And it's not highly competitive. Anybody can do it, and it's fun. And you meet lots of people.
So there's lots to do in the village.
Oh, yeah.
And then overall, what do you think of this place? Give us your sort of take on Laguna Woods now that you've sort of landed here permanently for the last couple of years.
You probably couldn't get me out of here. I really enjoy it in here. I enjoy the people and the activities, and nobody really seems old in here. Everybody seems younger to me. And so for me, it's just like this little paradise that I live in with all the pools and the people. And if you don't have fun in here, then you're not looking for it. I mean, just the walk down by the creek. We have a lot of amenities here. So if anybody's interested in activity, this is the place to be. If you know what, I see people in the gym that just go in there and they might just be on the elliptical going like this. That's all you need to do.
Move. You
Yeah,
gotta
and they
move.
might be 93 years old, and that's why they're going like this, but they're in there. It's just come sit by the pool. It's relaxing.
All right, so talk about your bike. How much did it cost?
More than the windows we just put in our house, $5,500.
Wow. Why is it so awesome?
Well, because it's carbon fiber and it's fast. If you're going to be fast, you're going to have the techy equipment.
Is this the best bike you could get?
It's not the most expensive, but for me, it's the best bike I could get. At some point, it's the rider and not the equipment.
Right.
Money doesn't buy you speed.
How many miles do you think you've put on a bike since you started this whole adventure?
Oh my gosh.
You don't keep track?
Some people do, but it's been thousands of miles. If anybody wants to go through the pain, suffering, and sacrifice, just give me a call and I'd be glad to work with you.